Hello and welcome back to another season of GW Basketball Insiders. I am Liam Merku alongside David Korn. You've been gone for a while. We know you've missed us. So we're back and we've got plenty to talk about. So, David, why don't you just start us off? How have you been? How was your summer? You're off. You're not in DC anymore. So why don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a while, but I mean, we know college basketball is a 365, 24/7 type of sport, but realistically, there isn't that much to talk about for a show that just kind of focuses on one mid-major team through the summer month. So we have enjoyed a bit of time, I guess, away from the podcast, but we're really happy to be back. And I just got to say, boy, this GW team is looking pretty fun. I don't think I'm out of bounds to say this. I think this is the most hype we've seen for a GW team in probably like a decade, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, there's maybe an argument that can be made for a little bit more, but I think the last tournament team was 2014, so maybe I think a decade's probably fair.
Yeah, I think probably since like the Utah GW team that made it to the NIT, I think this is probably the team that has the highest expectations since then. I mean, some of the Jamie and Christian teams had higher expectations. I think probably his last year, so that would have been 2021, 2022. I think there were expectations. That was that was the James Bishop, Joe Bamisel year. So I think there might have been something, but this is a team, as sort of preseason power rankings and various, other sort of conference previews start to trickle in. I don't think I've seen them lower than 4 on any of these lists, really, and I think that's right. And I think they are sort of in that upper echelon of the A10 right now. I don't know how you view the league as a whole, Liam, right now, but I sort of see GW in a very solid top 4 with VCU, Loyola Chicago, and St. Louis. And then I think that's like a tier. And then there's another tier below them with like Dayton, maybe George Mason, all that. But I think GW is in play to compete for this conference. And I know I specifically have gotten some flack in the past from people for being a bit of a GW homer, but I think that some of the national media and the national attention around this program, the respect they've gotten, is sort of backing up my belief that the team that Chris Caputo has built in his 3rd year with GW has the chance to be a real contender. 4th, my mistake, 4th year.
4th year. We did get a question saying we can get to that later.
That's where I was going, so I'm going to blame Noah for that one.
No, I agree with most of what you said. I do think that they're in that GW's in that first sort of tier in the A10, which, as you kind of said earlier, that's not something we've been able to say in, certainly since we've started following the team, which is, last 5-6 years. So it's really exciting. It's nice to have high expectations. Now that just means that, you got to live up to those expectations. So
yeah. Let's do a quick off-season recap. So the obviously right now with college basketball, the big sort of story, I guess, is the transfer portal and how teams navigate that portal every offseason. And I think it's pretty clear that GW came out on top of that. I think, I know there's been some articles on like CBS Sports. I know The Athletic put out some stuff about it that has listed GW not just like as like a mid-major winner, but like as a winner in like all of college basketball with how they navigated the portal. So they lost a few guys, notably Darren Buchanan Jr. He went to Rutgers, and then JaCoy Hutchinson went to Longwood. But they brought in a lot of talent. At the guard spot, you have Trey Dinkins coming over from Duquesne, who is their leading scorer. Gina Rangaran from Hofstra. At the sort of the wing forward, you get Boo Benjamin from Tarleton State, Tyrone Marshall from Western Kentucky, and then Luke Hunger looks to slot in as the backup center and can maybe play some double big lineups with Rafael Castro. He's coming in from a 3-year career at Northwestern. So that's a really good mix of guys who have high major experience, some high usage guys from the lower levels, some athletes, some really like good big bodies. I just think they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that they did more so this past offseason than they had in the past is they brought in guys that played a lot. They brought in guys maybe from lower majors, lower kind of the lower level that played a bunch and were really good and efficient. And obviously each of them had kind of different attributes. But I mean, just the depth that they now have built, it makes it like in a few minutes we're going to talk about the starting lineup, and it's like I have no idea. Like I literally have no idea because
I don't think they have an idea either.
Yeah, right. And that like obviously that's a good thing to have that sort of depth, and also that sort of versatility is another thing. Is they can throw different looks. If one game they're really looking to, I don't know, like they can throw multiple big men in there. They can throw like if they want like an mostly guard lineup, they can do that. Like they have a lot of versatility and depth, which is a far cry from where this team has been. You know, I'm thinking about Chris Caputo's first year where they played like 6.5 guys. Like they barely had
it was really funny in those press conferences with Caputo in his first year because there were only really so many questions you could ask because there were so many injuries and the team was the rotation was so tight that like, you knew who your 5 starters were and you knew who the 2 guys who were going to get minutes off the bench were. Like,
right. Yeah. Like what
there wasn't any real, like there were no, questions about who's getting more minutes, who's starting, any of that. And this year there are, I mean, I think you can make an argument for 9 different guys having a spot in the starting lineup.
Yeah, no, they take serious depth. And I mean, there's a few guys that like I think I look at Ty Bevins and Trey Moss, and I'm like, especially for Ty Bevins, I'm like, he was good last year, and he's apparently improved in the offseason.
Yeah.
And like, because this team is so good, he may not get that jump in minutes or jump in production that you would have seen if he was, 2 years ago.
If you put Ty Bevins, like let's say Ty Bevins was going into last year's GW team as a sophomore now. So he had already had the freshman year he had last year. I think he would be in contention to start.
Yeah, agreed.
And now you're thinking about him as the 5th guard off the bench. Or the 5th guard in the rotation, not off the bench. But I've talked to some people in around the sport, media and otherwise, and they're sort of in agreement with me where this is as deep of a mid-major team that they've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that this is like the kind of depth that you have is so one of our friends over at the 3-Bid League Pod did their annual top 21 players. Liam, I don't know if you had a chance to listen, but
I did not. I saw who the players were, but I didn't listen.
Yeah. So I listened on my bus ride back. I was in New York City over the weekend, so I listened on my bus ride back then, and it was really interesting because 2 of the people there were 4 people doing this exercise, ranking the top 20 players in the A10. 2 of them had Trey Dinkins, which sort of on the surface makes a lot of sense. He was Duquesne's leading scorer, is coming to what's going to be a good GW team, but I don't know what Dinkins' role will be. So I personally wouldn't really feel comfortable putting anyone other than Rafael Castro or Garrett Johnson, injuries notwithstanding, really in that tier of like guys who I think will be like in contention for sort of all conference awards, just because I think it's going to be really tough for some of these guys to accumulate counting stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that benefits GW as a team, but maybe you won't see as many individual awards or like you said, maybe not as high in the counting stats and stuff.
So Liam, do you know what this means? That they were able to get so many of these guys in the portal where these sort of roles aren't guaranteed and that there's going to be a lot of fighting for minutes. Do you know what that means?
It means that they had a lot of NIL money. That's what it means.
It does, exactly. You just caught that alley-oop and slammed it down. I loved that. That was some great chemistry there. See, a few months off, didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, we're not
it's pretty clear that there's a I don't want to speak out of turn, but there is a lot of money in this GW team. I think more than people expect, and all indications are that they are sufficiently funded to compete in the A10. Do you think that's correct?
I think that's correct, and I think that Rafael Castro makes up a large portion of that NIL budget. I have that on pretty.
But that also doesn't mean that these other guys aren't still getting paid too.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you're right in saying that, like, they, the amount of money that they have this year that they spend in this offseason compared to even last offseason, previous off seasons before that is like 5, 6, 7, 8 times as much.
Yep.
And it's because of the revenue sharing. And that's like, there are some people that will say that, like, well, yeah, that'll be the case for a few years, and maybe
up
or whatever. But, like, I don't
know. Did you read that recent article? The Hatchet did a great piece. I think we'd sort of known this for a while, but this was sort of, I think, the first time it had been, like, written out. Is that Ellen Gramberg, the new president of GW, cares about athletics more than past presidents have. Coming from her time at Clemson, where she saw how their national championship football program really elevated the university at all levels. And I think this is the first time it was sort of verbalized on the record that she views athletics as a way to raise GW's academic profile. And so that was really exciting for me to sort of see in writing and to sort of just confirm what I think was suspected. And so that shows that, again, this offseason of spending probably wasn't like a one-time thing, that it's going to be a consistent thing that GW fans can expect going forward, that they will be competitive in the Atlantic 10 and can get guys, and money won't be the reason why they don't have a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, the departure from Mark Wrighton, who was the last president, who our good friend of the program, Cameron Mays, was the one who basically got him to say.
There was maybe if you're we'll tell this story at the end of the podcast, I think, for those who stick around maybe past the hour mark, if we go long like we expect we will. Because that's a funny story. But
Ellen Granberg is far more committed than Mark Wrighton. Is the point. And the other thing is, there is a little part of me that thinks, like, well, this experience at Clemson is great, but, like, we're kidding ourselves if we think that Clemson is GW in many different ways. And I don't think she thinks that, but I just don't want to get too far into this, like, oh, well, we need to do athletics this way and blah, blah, blah. And then you just completely botch it and just do it.
No, I think there's also
going to, but
I think it's a different scale. And I think it's the understanding, if GW is able to make two NCAA tournaments every 5 years.
Oh my God. That'd be phenomenal.
Obviously, like, that would be incredible, but, like, from a fan perspective, of a fan of the basketball team's perspective, amazing, dream. But from a university's perspective, that type of marketing is, like, for a mid-major athlete to be able to have that national stage like that is invaluable. And I was reading something, I forget where, I wish I could attribute this properly, but I saw, like, someone who's in, like, a marketing department for university quoted as saying, like, it is literally incalculable for the type of outreach and benefits that a university gets from getting their athletics programs on a national stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Hatchet article, if you're watching this and you haven't read it, I recommend you read it. They actually did a really good job of laying out how schools like GW are facing they're basically looking off the edge of a cliff because there simply aren't as many college age people that are going to be going into college. So they're all going to, like, enrollment is going to go down for a lot of these schools, especially in the Northeast. And I mean, especially for a school like GW where it's like freaking $80,000 a year to go there. So, like, listen, it's the front porch of the university. I'm glad that they're buying in. You just got to win. You got to win now.
Yeah.
You gotta get to the NCAA tournament. And I'm sure this is not the last time. We talked about it a lot last season. We're going to talk about it again a lot this season. We're probably going to have to do what we did last year, which is once it gets to conference play, just stop talking about it because it doesn't matter anymore. Is the non-conference schedule.
Yeah. But again, this year they did a good job getting opponents. And
they did a better job, and I think it's borderline impossible to get any school to play GW when they know that GW is going to be good.
Yes.
But there are still plenty of people that are criticizing and saying, "Oh, this is a soft schedule. This is whatever."
No, I think the people who do that are not having that conversation in good faith. You are playing a neutral site game against the reigning national champions in their home state.
Right. I'm not.
That is, and so you're not getting any money from that. Yeah. You are putting and again, I agree with this move from Computo, but I think anyone who is saying that GW is doing it again, that is so like metrically, that's not great for you because it's a neutral, not a. So even if you are somehow to pull off that offset, it doesn't help you as much. And obviously, it would be great though if this would be Florida. But again, that's a tough ask for a mid-major team to play a neutral site, to travel, but basically have it be at their home. So I'm not going to criticize South Florida. That's another great mid-major. That MTE, it's really tough for a team like GW to get into MTEs, and there's some quality mid-majors there too. They got a scrimmage against Georgetown, so they're obviously trying. They
got a scrimmage against Temple too, not the Temple.
Yeah,
that's like closed scrimmage, but it's gonna happen just in case.
Yeah, I mean, but they have like a real like exhibition game.
Yeah,
I think
and that's
Georgetown.
Yeah, we can.
So they are doing everything they can to schedule in good faith, but no, you're not going to really. It's not realistic to expect to play Maryland or to play Virginia or to have some of these maybe more local power conference teams be on the schedule. So the fact that they were able to get anything and Caputo was able to use some relationships he has around the sport to get this done, I think is a testament to how difficult it is and how well they did with what they could do.
I mean, ultimately what the priority should be this year, and I think this was the priority, and it's very difficult. The priority should be you should schedule for an at-large. Like you should be scheduling so that you can feasibly get an at-large bid with your non-conference schedule. And like, is that possible?
Like maybe GW, if they really wanted to, like could have had a game like at New Mexico State or something.
Yeah. Or I mean, from a viewership standpoint, like I don't want to watch. I don't care. It's like, oh well, we got a quad A game that we lost by 15 points. It's like
exactly honestly, like that doesn't really help.
I would rather watch them play like, maybe they can finally beat American. But
we'll get to that later.
Yeah, that's a question we got. I don't know about that, but
I think we've hit on scheduling, we've hit on money, we've hit on the roster.
Can we talk about the Georgetown exhibition, because it interests me a lot because it is an exhibition and it's like good that they're getting it scheduled, but I feel like we're a little too excited for this. It's like, it's great that GW is going to play Georgetown, but like, is there a scenario in which this turns into like, oh, you know what, we should schedule a regular season game? Because if GW wins, there's no chance Georgetown does that. And
I think there is, and I think the world in which that happens is if they see that there is legitimate local interest.
Yeah, I do think it'll be a lot of people at the game. I'm going to be there.
I think the results don't matter because I think if GW looks better than Georgetown is expected, they can just spin zone it as, oh, we weren't trying or whatever.
Right. It's like, well, you don't understand. We were playing our third stringers.
Oh, we were trying out a new offense, and
which for what it's worth, if GW loses, that is exactly what I will be doing.
Yeah, and you should be doing that. It's an exhibition, but I think there's a world in which this has a lot of local interest. Maybe some local media picks it up and makes it a bigger deal than maybe they've made any other Georgetown or GW game be recently. Maybe a lot of fans are there. Maybe they receive some word from their fans. It's like, oh, we liked this. This was fun.
Right.
So I think that's the world in which it happens again. But even if it's like just like a regular, like every year we do this exhibition or something, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I'd love to play Georgetown in a real game. I'd love to play Maryland again in a real game. Any of the Virginia schools, that would be great.
Yeah.
But
it's hysterical that the game has to be played at GW because Georgetown doesn't have their own arena. Like that's awesome. Like that's almost, I'm counting that as a win because Georgetown has an arena, but it's like they never.
McDonough's cool. If you haven't been there, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Kenner League. I don't think that's really a thing anymore, which is sad because it
was a thing this past summer, and I think it was at like Catholic or Howard. It's
nowhere near what it was, and even I didn't see it in its prime. I think I saw sort of the last few good years of it.
We were there for Luka Garza. Remember, we were there together.
Yeah,
Luka Garza showed up.
I've the NBA players I've seen there. I've seen Luka Garza. I saw the Grant brothers all show up one time. That was cool. There was another random guy who had like a 10-day with the Pelicans who showed up one time I was there. But yeah, so McDonough was a great home for that. It's a great home for their women's team. It's a great home for their volleyball.
I think they did construction there too. I think they put in some actual seats there.
So I mean, I think if I were GW, I would play the scrimmage there if they wanted to. I don't see the reason why not. Like a packed McDonough to see GW.
No, that would be fun.
Electric. So I could see this happening down the road. But yeah, good point to sort of close out that segment talking about that. Let's move on to our next thing. I think this is the most common question I get asked. Liam, I don't know if this happens to you, but you just get like people in your life, like just any GW basketball thing, they just come to you.
Yeah, I think the general response I get from GW basketball when I talk to other people is, who cares?
Well, no, exactly. There are a few people who maybe are very casual.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And will come to you with their questions or like, whatever or anything. And the most common thing I've gotten this off season is who is going to start. And I think that is a fascinating question. And I want us to sort of break this down because I think there's so many different ways they could go. And I said 9 guys who I think could contend for a spot in the starting lineup. I don't think that's exaggerating. I really think there are 9.
Are you comfortable predicting today that there will be 9 different starters for this team throughout the season?
I am comfortable saying 10.
Okay.
I think 10 players. This will be my bold prediction, right? Okay. I think that throughout the season, I think Christian Jones, Trey Autry, Trey Dinkins, Gina Rangaran, Ty Bevins, Boo Benjamin, Garrett Johnson, Tyrone Marshall, Rafael Castro, and Luke Hunger will all start a game.
I think that's I agree. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of crazy to think like, wow, 10 guys starting, how nuts. But it's like they have 10 starting quality Atlantic 10 players.
Yep.
So
Liam, I want to give you the first chance to sort of walk me through your starting lineup and give me the justification why at each spot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll preface this with, number one, I have no idea. And also, I kind of don't really think the coaches do either, which is a good thing.
I don't believe they do either.
We still have like over a month until the season starts. And number two, I forgot. So anyway, we'll just go into the second part. So the only person I'm 100% certain will be starting every game he's healthy for is Rafael Castro.
I think there's another guy I'm pretty confident.
You think that the other guy I would have said is not even in your starting lineup.
Oh.
I would have said Trey Dinkins maybe, just because he's more of an actual point guard, like a ball handler. So, see, this is exactly what we're talking about, where it's like we have no idea.
Go. Give me yours. I'll let you finish. I interrupted.
Okay. No, you're good. Garrett Johnson, assuming he's healthy, Garrett Johnson. That's a big question mark.
Yeah, I'm actually under the assumption he'll be ready to go. That all indications are that he has progressed to a point where he should be 100% of what he now is by the start of the regular season.
Right. I really hope he can stay healthy because I know that was an issue 2 years ago. So Castro, Johnson, under the assumption Johnson is fully healthy. Boo Boo Benjamin.
Mhm.
I love that man's name. It's so good. But he's also a good player. He's got that length. He can shoot. I just think he kind of provides that versatility. He can guard various different positions. Trey Autry. Um, I think Trey Autry is a damn good player. I think Trey Autry is he could be a serious contributor on a Power 5 team. Like I legitimately think. Sorry, Power 4. I forget. Are we back to 4?
I default to power conference now.
Power Conference, high major. Why don't we go with that?
Yeah.
He's good. I would love to see him, and I think this is even something I've heard him talk about. I would love to see, like, he's obviously a really good 3-point shooter. I would really love to see him get better at driving the ball, and become a little bit of a better passer. So I'm expecting. I mean, there was a jump from him freshman to sophomore year. I'm expecting a jump from sophomore to junior year, and then Trey Dinkins, because he is that ball handler, and because he's got that sort of A10 experience, overall experience. But it's like I still sort of feel like this is kind of like throwing darts at a dartboard. You're gonna give your explanation. I'm gonna be like, that's great. Like Christian Jones, yeah, maybe he should be starting.
You're spoiling it.
No, I'm not spoiling anything. Here, I'll talk about a guy that you don't have on your thing. Tyrone Marshall. Like Tyrone Marshall could start.
Yeah, exactly. Like if GW wants to go bigger and slide Johnson to the 3, although again, I think talk about positions like this is kind of silly.
I remember the other thing I was going to say. It does not matter who starts the game. It's about who is like playing meaningful minutes and who ends the game. I know that the starting lineups is a fun thing to like talk about, but like how many times are you watching a game and like some guy who starts playing terribly, and then the guy who's sitting on the bench ends up playing 35 minutes, and it's like, all right, so here we were focused on the starting lineup. So anyway, but give me your justification for your line. We have a few similarities but also some differences.
So I actually don't have Castro starting. No, I'm kidding. Obviously Rafael Castro is the lock. I think Garrett Johnson, again assuming health, is another lock. A guy who I would bet pretty heavily is going to be there is Trey Autry. I would be shocked if Trey Autry is not the starting 2 this season, just because of his heroics against Fordham in the A10 tournament, how clutch he was all year, the spacing he provides, and I think Caputo is going to reward him coming back, and I think that's a pretty. He knows the system. He's one of his guys. I don't have these in front of me, but there are some numbers that indicate that Autry was one of like the most efficient players in the country when he was on the floor, and had some of the best like plus minus.
That made the George Mason fans so angry.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be true. It's like
so I'm pretty confident that Autry is going to start. And then I have Boo Boo Benjamin, the other wing forward spot. And then my point guard is Christian Jones, because I think Christian Jones is the best guard defender that they have. And just sort of from like a basketball philosophy standpoint, I usually lean towards starting the better defender and having the better offensive player come off the bench, because I think it's like more valuable to sort of have the better defender in the starting lineup to be able to be sort of carried by your better offensive players there, and then have maybe that one offensive guy. So if I'm looking at like Trey Dinkins, right? I think Trey Dinkins as like a sharpshooter flamethrower off the bench would be insane. Like that would be so great. He can come in, completely run the second unit, and be the guy when he is in. And so I sort of like a bench role for him there. And then a guy neither of us mentioned, Gina Rangaran, another guy who I think there's a real world he ends up being GW's best guard this year. I think his physicality and sort of I think he's a guy who at Hofstra last year, he was sort of their number 1 perimeter option. I think stepping into a role where he will not be that could be huge for him.
Yeah,
so
I completely agree.
My starting lineup right now is I'm rewarding the returners and the defense. I think Jones and Autry are the two best defense. Actually, no, I think you could throw Ty Bevins in there, but I don't think his offensive game is there yet to really contend for a starting spot. But I think Jones and Autry give you your best realistic defensive group for the starting lineup. I think Boo Boo Benjamin's, 6'7" volume shooter, like you don't see that at the mid-major level, and I think it's kind of crazy that he ended up at GW, that he started at Tarleton State for the first. I don't know how they got him. That's a great scouting.
Awful last year. They were trash.
Yeah, I mean, the good job, I guess, scouting in Canada up there to get him. And then obviously Garrett Johnson and Castro. But what's so great about this is like I really don't think the starting lineup matters. And I really hope that the players get that, because I think last year, I think we can say that the starting lineup did become a distraction.
Yeah, that's true.
And with the way Darren Buchanan's season unfolded, in a perfect world, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. He was still playing minutes, but he was clearly dissatisfied with how he lost his spot in the starting lineup to Sean Hansen after his injury. And so you would hope that maybe this year, I'm not blaming anyone. Again, I think this was something that we really tried to figure out what exactly happened. I don't think we ever really did. But I think it's fair to say that there could have been better communication in regards to that.
Yeah.
At least externally. And so I think that it's going to be really important for the communication in this sense to be handled very well, and for players to be, talk to him being like, yeah, you still have a role even if you aren't starting. You still have a role even if you're the fifth guy off the bench. Like, your time will come and all of that. Because I do think that is a risk right now, that too many cooks in the kitchen could become sort of a running theme with this. But, I mean, if it all works out, this is going to be really exciting.
Right. And I mean, they talk about, like, you hear them talk about, like, oh, well, we recruit the character of the person too, not just how they are as a basketball player. And it's like, fine. Of course, like, the day that I hear a coach be like, yeah, actually, we recruit evil people. We recruit people that are not fun to be around. That's when I'll, like, actually start paying attention. But, I do, like, what am I going to do? Not take them at their word? Yeah, of course I believe that they're trying to recruit people that they like being around. So,
I mean, I think the easy thing to say here is that if they're winning, it'll be fine.
Right. And that's the thing. And you also don't have
let's say you go through a bit of a losing stretch, right? And these guys who are pretty big transfers are maybe sitting at 10 minutes a game, right? I see a world. Yeah. And I'm just showing the other side. Again, I don't think people really want to talk about it. But with a team that is this deep, you will get someone who is not happy with their role. And I do think that will happen this year. And I hope this team is good enough to sort of
for it to not matter.
Get past that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is you don't really have a player that has those Darren Buchanan like expectations coming in. Like last season, there was in hindsight, it sounds silly, but like there was an argument for like Darren.
I don't think it is silly in hindsight. Actually,
no, I'm just saying like Darren Buchanan was like, we thought he was going to be like a first team All A10 player.
Yeah, and I think that's what I don't think it's silly looking back on what we knew then.
Right. That's fair. But it's like those guys that you're talking about who could potentially be in that position where they're like in a similar situation to Darren Buchanan. I don't think any of them have those expectations of like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to be the star, I'm going to be the one who, touches the ball every offensive possession.
Well, I think you could argue Castro.
That's true. I guess.
But I think Castro's season last year, where I think he was top 3 player in the league, and really carried the team. And was not like a freshman, efficient, great on both ends. I don't think there's going to be that problem of like sort of regression there.
No, I'm with you. I hope not, because then a lot of the things we're talking about.
Because this team was built to play around Rafael Castro.
Yes.
this team is athletic and a lot of outside shooting, and GW will do pretty much everything they can to surround Castro with 4 shooters. And the only time that he will not be surrounded with 4 legitimate 3-point threats is if they're going double big with Luke Hunger. And Hunger is a guy who can take shots. Like, he has made threes in his career. So you could still do that with Hunger if you want to run those double big lineups. By the way, Luke Hunger, I just want to give you some shout outs. I have heard very good things about you as a person from people at Northwestern. You seem to be a very popular guy there. So
Well, he's definitely listening, so this is good.
shout out you, Luke Hunger. Sources at Northwestern tell me you're a fun guy. So there we go.
Oh, I gotta find sources at like Tarleton State or Western Kentucky or something.
I know. We need to lock in.
I know. We're aging out of it, unfortunately. Should we move to some season predictions?
I want to talk about one more player who I didn't really mention there, Tyrone Marshall. I think he's another guy who I think if Garrett Johnson's health gets to a spot where he isn't playing, I think he will be the one to slide in at the starting 4 spot. I think at least looking at this roster, I like Boo Boo Benjamin as a 3. I think the only guy in the league who can really match up with him at the wing size-wise is Ward, the transfer just at VCU. Maybe Brady Dunlap, but again, he's more of like a shooter. I don't really worry about his like physicality. He's sort of a tall shooter. So I like having Benjamin at the 3 as sort of that matchup problem there. And if you can get him in a spot where he's posting up some of these, because the A10 is a league where you see a lot of like guards at the 3. And so if he's able to handle that, I love the matchup like sort of advantages you could get from that. But Tyrone Marshall's a guy who I think we didn't touch on, but I think has a chance to maybe be one of the more impactful players depending on how injuries shake out. And his role as sort of the Garrett Johnson understudy, I think, is going to be so crucial for this team.
Yeah. You think either of the freshmen play any sort of like meaningful role?
No, and I wouldn't be shocked if some redshirt announcements trickle out before the season starts.
Yeah. Well, that typically doesn't happen until like partway through the season, and then it's just like everyone just talks about it like, well, obviously they're going to redshirt. It's like
that's what I mean, yeah. But like I wouldn't be shocked, especially if Rozier Roan, more of a guard. I think Chaudhry is just sort of he's bigger. I think this GW guard depth is ridiculous.
Well, the other thing is
we didn't even talk about Trey Moss, who's coming back, and I don't really see a world in which he plays.
Unless there's some injuries, he probably doesn't play.
No, even if there are injuries, like you don't need to be running these 12-man rotations. Like you can just have guys play more than 25 minutes. Like I don't see a world in which he plays. Like unless there's like truly some injury catastrophe. This team is so unbelievably deep. Like I keep saying this, but really it is.
Yeah. And the other thing is Rozier Roan, whatever.
We'll clarify this. We haven't had a lot of reasons to say his name lately, but we'll get on.
I believe he was injured for a lot of his, maybe all of his high school season. So there's also some irony. Media Day is in fact tomorrow. So anyway, and here we are doing this tonight. So, any other players? Oh, I wanted to say something about Christian Jones. He can be a lock in the starting lineup if he's able to cut down on the turnovers. Like that was a big issue for him last year, I feel like. And some of these turnovers were just like he's just out, like he's just like drinking around and just gets the ball poked away. I was like, what are we doing?
I think having the overall talent level on this team raised, I think that'll make it a lot easier for him to hold on to the ball because I think he'll be asked to do a lot less. And so I think you're going to see the ball sort of – I think as long as he can sort of – I don't want to simplify things, but if he can get the ball inside to Castro, I think you'll be in a pretty good spot. So you can do that. Again, you'll have Garrett Johnson. Like, he'll have a lot less attention on him because, again, you'll have Garrett Johnson in the corner. Like, you need a guy on him, you know. Trey Autry has shown again. So I agree. I think, but again, what's such an asset for this team is if those turnovers are a problem, you got a 13 plus point per game scorer from Duquesne off the bench, ready to come in and run the point.
Right.
So
yeah, the depth is nice. It gives you a little bit of cushion.
I think you can afford to see what happens there, and that's why I think Jones at least gets the benefit of the doubt to start. He's returning. I think he is the best defender of the guards, and really a lot of promising moments last year.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to do predictions, or do we want to answer some questions? We answered some of these questions, or some parts of these questions already.
Well, we just got another question that came in, so I think let's do predictions first, and then I like wrapping with the mailbag, and then we'll end with that little story about our old friend interim president Wrighton. Some of the behind the scenes of that.
Not even that good of a story, but yeah.
I think it's pretty. We'll get to that after this. So, Liam, I want to hear what you think. Just again, we're not going necessarily game by game here. I kind of did a little, but give me some predictions.
I think they make it to the second round of the NIT. Okay. 11-2 non-conference. Losses come to Florida and McNeese. Although I am a little scared about that South Florida game. You're going to go to that, right?
I will be. I am going to go to Mohegan for that.
Nice. Same. I'll be there too.
Liam, how late are we going to stay up in the casino?
I don't know. Well, we can talk about the logistics of this. I have a friend who now lives. I was hoping it was closer. It's a whole thing. He's living in New York.
Well, any WNBA fan knows that Mohegan is near nothing, and that is
it really is
really tough for the Connecticut Sun to get players to want to play there.
Right. So that's part of the reason why they want to move to Boston or Providence.
Move anywhere. Yeah. But that's a whole other piece of drama.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's near anything. What?
I'm excited for that game. That'll be fun.
It'll be a blast. South Florida, a good team too. Like they're sort of.
Yeah, their whole situation is. I mean, their coach, their coach last year, who died of did he die of cancer?
I'm not sure, but it was sudden.
It was very sudden, and he was going to be a star. Like he was going to win national championships. He was that good. So it's so sad. But yeah, you're right. They're very good. And then I'll say 13-5 in conference play, which adds up to. What'd you say?
Yeah. No, you go. I didn't.
That's a 24-7 regular season, and then it comes down to. Then it comes down to how they do in the A10 tournament, and it's like, I'm kind of wondering. Is there a world in which this team gets an at-large bid? 30-0, are they at large? I don't think that's going to happen. But
I think if you beat Florida and win the A10 regular season, I think you get an at-large. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair.
No, I think the A10 is going to be good this year. I think if you do take care of business in the non-con and finish, so by that I mean you lose to Florida and are competitive against maybe McNeese and South Florida winning one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I have them in my predictions winning both. I have them only losing to Florida in the non-con. But if you do that, I think that's taking care of business. And then, again, finish top 3, top 4 in the A10, respectable showing in the A10 tournament. Yeah, you should be able to. I think the top half of the league is really good this year. I think Loyola Chicago, people aren't talking about, they're going to be awesome. St. Louis, Robbie Avila, I think he's my player of the year pick, just because I think with GW's depth, Rafael Castro will not have the minutes or counting stats to compete with him, especially because Avila is the kind of guy who stuffs the stat sheet with assists. I think that will look better towards the player of the year voters. And yeah, I think you like VCU as well. They're going to be really good. They have so much money to work with for their basketball team, and they have some really good transfers like Ward, Ahmad Noel,
Yeah, we'll see if this.
Barry Evans with the cheeky A10 Marfo, starting at St. Bonaventure, going to Bryant, and coming back to the A10.
Wait, say who was this again?
Barry Evans.
Okay, yeah.
You got Brandon Jennings coming back, who we talked about how this is like the deepest guard rotation, really. I think VCU had sort of maybe the best with Max Scholga, Philip Russell, and Joe Bamsel.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Jennings with that group still was able to get minutes as a freshman, and he's back. So I really like VCU. So I think if GW is top 4, top 3 with that, again, good non-con, and then semifinals or finals of the A10 tournament, they should be on the NCAA tournament bubble.
Yeah, it's just like I've just seen so many examples of like Indiana State 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting
the A10's going to be better than the Missouri.
No, I understand that, but it's like suddenly we're going to see some like freaking awful Virginia or Pitt team back in with a under 500 record in the ACC, and you're going to be like, this is a joke. Like this is a complete.
A 500 Ohio State team makes it over like a 4-loss A10 team.
Yeah, like some like Walking Dead fucking coach who's like just basically out to lunch and just ready to be bought out and go to the Cayman Islands. So anyway, okay. I want to talk about Robbie Avila. I've
heard it both ways.
I don't. Either way, you know who I'm talking about. That's not
Robbie Avila. Yeah.
We need to stop falling for this nonsense Robbie Avila propaganda. Rafael Castro played him off the floor.
Yeah, and so when I notice how I said when I do my Player of the Year thing, I did not say he is better than Castro. I think St. Louis is worse, so Avila will get more stats.
Yeah, but it's like all these freaking morons see this guy wearing the Kareem goggles, and he completes a pass, and someone like hits a 3-pointer, and they're like, he's what is he going to play in the freaking NBA? Come on, give me a break.
No.
He's a talented basketball player. I cannot shake the image of him. He just doesn't look like he knows how to play basketball. He just lumbers around, and there's almost something endearing about that.
Strong disagree.
Okay, all right. He's a very talented player. I'm gonna have it out for him all year when I keep hearing this nonsense about how he's not a better player than Rafael Castro. And what's gonna happen is I'm gonna look like an idiot because maybe he's gonna be better than Rafael Castro this year, and I'm gonna have to eat my words. And I'm probably gonna delete this episode and actually say this never happened.
He's a goofy white guy who can pass, who can shoot, and who this year has a lot of shooters around him. He's a really effective player.
Is always very good. So I would.
Yeah, who has maybe. I don't think it's a stretch to say Josh Schertz is a top 5 offensive X's and O's coach in college basketball.
Did you listen to the Curry Hicks-Sage interview with him? He literally talked about scheme for like Curry Hicks-Sage had to like stop him and be like, hey, actually, I want to talk about your background. He was like talking. It was incredible. I was like seeing stars. I had no idea what the hell was going on, but he is an incredible mind. It's all Zach Bovair. All Zach Bovair.
Exactly. I was about to say, friend of the program, Zach Bovair. If you're listening, shout out St. Louis basketball. We've devoted more time than I expected.
Here we are, 49 minutes in. I would not be surprised if he actually is listening right now.
Zach Bovair, if you are listening to this, shoot us a DM and we'll
shoot us a DM. And I promise everything I said about Robbie Avila, I actually do mean it, but I'm still sorry that I said it because I feel bad because he seems like a great guy. No qualms in that department.
If you're listening, shoot us a DM and we'll do 5 minutes on Jackson Dart next episode with you. Okay.
Oh God, I'm gonna be at the Eagles Giants game, so we can do a live report from MetLife.
Electric. I just added. I have a fiasco at the quarterback on my fantasy team. I know no one cares about my fantasy team, but I'm doing a Hail Mary with Jackson Dart the rest of the way. So
that's a terrible decision, but I want to ride that roller coaster, baby. Ride that roller coaster.
So let's talk about how I think GW is going to do in
Yes.
conference.
Yeah. Sorry, I went on my
I have
Bobby.
them losing one fewer game, and I looked at it. They have a really easy and favorable home schedule, which I think is awesome for racking up wins. I think SLU on the road is going to be really tough. VCU on the road is going to be really tough. Loyola Chicago on the road for the last game of the season, which I will be in attendance at. I'm going to go visit former WRGW sports director Ari Foyer, who's in Chicago now. I'm going to go see him, and we're going to go to that. And then I penciled in the classic loss at LaSalle as well. It's inevitable. So, and I like what they've done. Darius Nichols is doing a good job over there in his first year. So that's what I have. And I didn't even hazard a guess at the A10 tournament because there's so much chaos. But I will say this. In a tournament setting where you have to play a lot of games in a lot of days, depth will be really helpful.
That's true.
Because GW, let's say GW has their guys who, other than Castro, are probably going to be only playing about 25 minutes a game at most. With this, they can almost do like hockey subs, right? Imagine they then have to go face a Mark Schmidt St. Bonaventure team where they had 5 guys playing 35 minutes and the one bench guy playing like 15.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to have the advantage there? The GW team with fresh legs, or Mark Schmidt with his like ginger goon and, you know, all of the Joe Grahovich. I know who you are. I'm putting respect on your name. I think Joe Grahovich is going to be really good.
That's the JUCO guy, right? Not the Italian guy.
No, Grahovich is the JUCO guy who Woj found, who like didn't play quit basketball, and it was like this whole thing. Really interesting story. I hope everyone. It's been pretty well reported on in a lot of different spots now. It's become a pretty big story. I'm pretty sure there's a good article about him in Hoops HQ with Seth Davis. If you want to read about Joe Grahovich, but he's a guy who, if it works out, also sneaky, even though he's older. I think he's 21 or 22. I think because of the new JUCO rules, I think he might have 4 years of eligibility. So
what? What are we doing? That's
well. There's also that guy who's on like UC Santa Barbara who played in the G League. So
that's just okay. Well, listen, he's got a great deal. You know, lucky him, he gets to spend the next 4 years in Ole in New York.
Again, I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. I might be wrong, but I think that's right with the new JUCO
rules.
I
mean, GW is benefiting from the JUCO stuff. Trey Dinkins.
With Trey Dinkins, yeah.
And Tyrone Marshall, right?
Unclear. I forget.
Okay.
Definitely Trey Dinkins, though. He talked to us about that.
That's true. Go watch that interview.
That was a good interview.
Yeah, we had plans to do like interviews with all the players, and then like we just didn't do it. So
life happens, but we're back on our grind now. So that's what. And here, only 53 minutes into the podcast, Liam. We are ahead of. We're
flying through it.
So let's get to the mailbag now. Let's when we're writing this out, we'll put in the episode when to skip to the mailbag if you want to get to that, because we have some good ones. Maybe our most loyal listener, JJ Gottschalk, asked us if the team is NIT or bust. Liam, what do you think?
I think it depends what you mean by bust, but I certainly think it's fair to say that the season is a disappointment if you don't make the NIT.
You're saying you would be psyched for another crown appearance?
I would not be psyched for another crown appearance. I did not like that tournament. I was not a fan of that whatsoever.
No, it was very silly.
It was partially informed by the fact that they got just waxed by Boise State, like just absolutely dominated. It's like I paid no attention to the rest of the crown. Like I glanced at it. It was like, oh, Utah's playing Butler. Oh, whoopee! Like, who cares?
So I think what we're saying is kind of yeah.
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes, but
because the thing is, like, historically, like if the A10's good, I'd say if you're top 6 in the A10, you'll make it.
I mean, they damn near made it last year. They had no business making it.
Yeah, St. Bonaventure made it, and you were as good as St. Bonaventure.
Right.
So I think, yeah, if you don't at least sneak into the NIT, I think that would be pretty disappointing. I think, Rafael Castro injuries withstanding, there really shouldn't be any reason why this is not an NIT team.
Right. I mean, like, I think it's fair to say the expectation should be to maybe host an NIT game.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I think another expectation should be A10 tournament semis.
Okay. I think that's a good, like, A10 tournament semis, host an NIT game should be the expectation. I mean, that NIT, hypothetical NIT game, here we are talking about an NIT game, like, what, 6 months out? No one's going to show up to that game. There's going to be zero.
It'll be during spring break.
Yeah, it's going to be during spring break. It's going to be on like 2 days' notice. Like, no, even if this team is really good and we're like, oh, they really should have made the tournament, there's going to be no one at this game.
Liam, can I tell you a potential disaster?
Please.
My brother's wedding is on the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
We'll see where your bread's buttered. I'll save you a seat. Hopefully they play in Philly.
I brought this up to him and he said, "That's funny." And so
it is funny that I might not come to your wedding.
So this is going to be a really again, I'm just putting that out there, letting people know now.
Okay.
We have another question from Speedy Claxton. Let's not dox this burner because this burner does some good work. But Speedy Claxton is wondering if this is a make or break season for Caputo. No.
Yes, we talked. I believe you and I talked about this earlier this summer, and we kind of disagreed. My question was, what has to happen for Caputo's job to be in danger? And your take is like, I mean, they could like if they go winless in the A10. Does he like?
I think but I think realistically,
I mean, that's not going to happen, obviously, but
I think realistically, his job is very safe. I think that I don't even really. I mean, yes, there are expectations. I think if this is a pillow fighting team and there are no catastrophic injuries, I think then you can question maybe his role, his sort of ability as like an on the floor coach. But I think he is, in his time here, he has done enough to sort of get this program back on track, to buy him a significant amount of goodwill with the administration. And so I do not see a world in which he is close to the hot seat.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like, you know, we can't be sitting here and pretending like, oh, if they don't get a double bye or something like that, like, you know, he should be anywhere close to the hot seat. I mean, this program was garbage for like 10 straight years. And, you know, the people...
And not just on the floor, like a lot of behind the
disaster. It was like, you know, like athletic directors sexually assaulting students or like...
read the Deadspin article.
The Deadspin article is crazy. The first time I read that, I was like, it was nuts. There's like people getting...
I mean, I'm sure everyone listening to this at 58 minutes into a preseason GW basketball podcast it knows what's going on. But if you are here and you haven't, just search like GW basketball Deadspin Mike Lonergan, and you will, you'll see how much Caputo has stabilized this program. And so I don't think, again, never say never, I guess, but I would be shocked.
I mean, how about this hypothetical? Do you think it's more, I mean, I think I know what your answer to the question is going to be, but do you think it's more likely that Caputo is poached for another job, or Caputo is let go for poor performance? Like in next April?
It's tough. Because
this year, I think he could be a candidate for some of these jobs, but
it is my understanding of the situation that he is sort of, you know, I'm going to say fired for poor performance, not poached.
That's not the answer I thought you were going to give. So
I think that I think his name, if there is a lot of success, will start to be floated around. Are we talking about ever or like by the time his contract's up. Oh, I guess that doesn't really.
He'll
always be extended. So I guess if that's the case, that's a
I was
really good
thinking this year. I was thinking like March or April of 2026.
I guess in that world, poached. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think eventually, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a question we can entertain further if it's even worth entertaining as we get closer to it. But I do think you need to remember some other considerations beyond just basketball.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Liam, want to hit me with the third question, and then I'll do the one we just get on Twitter?
Yes. The third question is, can we at least beat American? Georgetown would be a bonus too, even if it doesn't count.
Thank you, Florida Man, for that question. Florida Man, I hope you're excited for GW to play in your home state. That'll be a lot of fun.
Florida Man, I hope you like that Eagles win yesterday.
Yeah, they should. I think it'll help that it's at home.
American's not going to be as good this year, I don't think.
Yeah, no more Lincoln Ball spilling our secrets.
Yeah, that was. And also, I mean, more importantly, no more Matt Rogers. That was really sad when he tear his ACL in the playing game.
Florida Man, we'll have our American expert Matt Maderno reply to your comment with maybe a more in-depth scouting report on the Eagles. But I'd say no, they should beat them. And while we're talking about American, shout out to my former colleague at SiriusXM, Dan Lang, the voice of the American Eagles. Shout out, Dan.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, if they don't beat American this year, they're never going to freaking beat American.
So we sort of touched on this earlier, but this is from another one of our beloved GW burners. Sneaky good burner community for the A10. From a Smith Center resident at GW Hoops fan asked us what the ceiling for this team is, and is March within possibility? So I think by March, we mean NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, I was gonna do the whole bit where what was the coach who was like, "Well, we could die tomorrow." Like I could have done 5 minutes on that, but no, obviously he means the NCAA tournament. And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I agree. Again, like I said, I think the A10 is really good this year. I think the top half is going to be really competitive, and I think not to do the thing, but I think this should be a 3-bid league. What was that look?
That look was, I really want it to be a 3-bid league, but I don't think it will be, unfortunately.
I think
I agree. I think like the league is good enough to be a 3-bid league.
I think at this point, 3 of GW, VCU, St. Louis, and Loyola should make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that they should. I'm always going to be so cynical about this stuff.
I think March is within reach. Because again, if you look at it again, like think back 2 years ago, Duquesne winning the A10 tournament and then winning a game in March. Like, I think this GW team right now is worlds better than that Duquesne team.
Yeah, but what that Duquesne team did is they got hot at the right time. So like
exactly.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think your point about the depth is a really good one because it's like this, at least on paper, this team is good enough to get hot at the right time. And I'll be watching if they're able to go in there and consistently perform at the MTE and show that they can do it in this kind of tournament sort of atmosphere. Pittsburgh is no Cayman Islands, but the similarities will have to be good enough. But no, seriously, I think if they can show that they can perform on these back-to-backs, that would be very, very encouraging for me.
Yeah. So that closes out the mailbag. Thank you for everyone for submitting a question. We love when you are a part of the show. So let's wrap up with our story about when we maybe tripped up Mark Wrighton. This was when me and Liam were both at WRGW. I don't think we should expose the guy, but
no, we don't have to.
We there was a blog post on the WRGW sports blog that got some attention with Mark Wrighton saying that if he could, if it was up to him and he was restarting GW over, that he would make them D3, and that ruffled some feathers. And upon further examination, we maybe realized that he did not know he was maybe on the record, right?
Yeah, the interview. Here's my cat, by the way. The interview was about something completely different. So we had some journalistic integrity questions. My main takeaway, there were some people that were angry about that. I was like, I mean,
Kind of real. Yeah.
like he's right. Like he's like watching. Like he's like, athletics cost how much money? Like, I can't blame him for saying that, but that's obviously not the best thing. It's not like there was ever like I don't think it ever reached the point where a member of the
Yeah, I don't think the president's office is monitoring the GW message board.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but we got some people riled up on that message board. So
yeah, so it never was a huge issue, but we realized we maybe needed to have clarified with some of our writers some guidelines on how to conduct interviews.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes. That's part
You
of
live and learn. That's what being a student is.
Exactly.
These are learning experiences.
Exactly.
Hour and 5 minutes, a little longer than we thought, but nowhere else I'd rather spend the Monday before October baseball, before the postseason, than talking GW.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Liam?
Give a prediction. Who loses the World Series? I don't want you to tell me who wins the World Series. I want you to tell me who loses the World Series.
Well, I just feel you're not going to like who I'm going to say. The Phillies are going to lose the World Series.
Yeah, that's fine.
And either the Red Sox or Mariners are going to beat them.
See about that. No bias in that answer with the Red Sox there.
I don't think there is a bias. I think Lucas Giolito's injury worries me, but I think if they can get out of the first round, the wild card round, in 2 games with Crochet and Bayo, Giolito comes back to start game 1 of the DS. I think they'll be right on track, and no one can compete with their starting pitching and bullpen.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I'm with you. I'm from a Phillies perspective. I'm just scared of the Dodgers. There were all these people that were scared of the Mets. I was like,
don't be scared of the Dodgers. Dodgers are a disaster.
Okay, fair enough.
Worst bullpen I've ever seen on a supposedly good team.
Fair enough.
Can I? But actually, no. This is going to be my last thing. My new favorite thing. This is the first time that Shohei Ohtani has competed in the postseason as a 2-way player, because last year he was only a DH. Mm-hmm. With the new DH Shohei Ohtani rule, where you can pitch in DH and then still stay in the game once you leave as a starting pitcher, there is a world in which Shohei Ohtani starts a game at DH and pitching. So he's the starting pitcher, exits the game as a pitcher, remains as the DH, and then because he is still in the game, could close the game or pitch later in the game as a reliever.
Wait, is that actually a thing?
Yep. So if he does that, they would lose the DH. And so once he becomes a reliever. But there is a world. Let's say
this is cheating. This is going to cheat the Philadelphia
Phillies. If you want to get really crazy, what you could do is, for Shohei, you could start, stay in as the DH, pitch like the 8th, then go into the 9th as like the left fielder and stay in the lineup. So you could do like a bunch of different stuff. So.
Wow. That scares me because it just confuses me. Do you understand that?
Exactly. Yeah. But that's your baseball quirk of the day.
There we go.
Shows start and close a game with someone pitching in the middle.
Well, if that happens, my blood pressure is going to rise a lot. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
And Shohei Ohtani has closed games before. World Baseball Classic, Japan versus USA World Baseball Classic final. He got the final 3 outs, struck out Mike Trout to win it. So he's done it before in high leverage situations.
Yeah. The Mariners. I mean, come on. The Mariners, just as an institution, I'm never convinced they're ever going to win anything. But
no, they sneaky have an insane offense.
Big dumper.
Big dumper. Big dumper. If he's not the MVP, you don't know baseball. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. I wish I could make an argument that it's going to be Kyle Schwarber because he's been incredible. But
different leagues. But also Schwarber's a DH. And I think if Ohtani's ever being a semi-productive 2-way player, there's not a world in which he doesn't get it. So,
yeah,
sucks for the rest of the National League.
Yeah, that's how it goes. All right.
So that's baseball talk today. Sorry, this was very Zach Lowe show-esque with ending with some baseball talk. But
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back soon, maybe with some interviews leading into the season.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right.
We've been known to do that.